Okay, so here's a story about how I got stuck in the toilet. Let me set the scene for you. I had 3 jobs. I worked at Game, selling video games. I worked at my university's IT help desk. Have you tried turning it off and on again? And I worked at the loan counter at my university, loaning out equipment to the students. Now, another thing you need to know about my university is after a certain time of night, you needed a fob to get into the buildings to do work because they didn't just have staff around all the time. And that's pretty much all the information you need for me to start this story. So one fateful evening I was doing a night shift at the loan counter and it got to the end of my shift. It's 10 o'clock, it's dark outside, no one's around. No, I haven't seen a soul for probably hours. I pull down the shutter, I lock down the whole area that I work in, and I think, do you know what, before I go home, I'm going to use the toilet. So, the weird thing about the toilet in my university, or at least the toilet where I worked, was this. There was a door, then a kind of holding area with a door to the outside, and the 2 toilets coming off of the holding area. So the door to get into the holding area and the door to get outside actually were both fob operated doors, and this evening I decided that I didn't want to sign one out because I was just going home. I would be back in the morning. That decision is possibly one of the worst decisions I've ever made. So to prevent the door from locking whilst I relieved myself, I decided to prop the door open with a bin. The bin didn't stay where I put it. It kind of moved along, the door pushing it out of the way, which left me in a situation where I couldn't get outside because I didn't have a fob and the door was locked from the outside and the inside. I couldn't get back into my office because the door had been locked from the inside and I didn't have a fob. My only 2 options were the girls' toilets and the boys' toilets. So, as any rational human being would do, I tried to find a different type of exit. I went into the boys' toilets and I found the nearest window, and it was one of those long, thin windows, and no one is fitting through one of those. So seeing as I couldn't fit through it, I did the only thing that I could think to do, and that was to shout. I shouted out of the window, "Help! Help! Can someone help me? I'm stuck in the loo!" And, "Hello, is anyone around? I need some help. I'm stuck in the toilet." Nobody came. There was no one around. It was 10 in the evening. All the students had gone home. All the staff had gone home. It was pitch black outside because our university is in the middle of a valley with only a few lights spotted around the campus, and security weren't just walking around, not in that time. So I kind of retreated back to the airlock area and slumped against the wall thinking, this is probably me for the rest of the night until the locks go off. At least there's running water in the taps. But I'm not the sort to give up. I thought, do you know what? Maybe the door just happens to be unlocked. So got up, walked over to the door, and I gave it a quick pull. Nothing. I could feel it give a little bit though, because the door was being held shut by electromagnets. So I thought, maybe if I pull a bit harder, put a bit more strength into it. So I pulled a bit harder, and it gave a little bit more. I felt like maybe if I put my full force into this door, I could maybe pull it away from the electromagnet. You know, fight nature. Well, what happened next was possibly the worst thing that happened in that evening. And considering everything that happened so far, well, you know, it was the icing on the cake. I pulled the door with all my might, convinced that I would be able to pull it away from the electromagnet. And with one massive tug, I shattered the glass in the door. Now the door was one of those wooden frames with 2 glass panels in it. The glass was just in 1,000 pieces. Not on the floor though, it was safety glass. It was in the frame. I couldn't hurt myself, and I certainly couldn't put my hand through the window and release myself. I'd just broken the door. So now I'm stuck in this holding area where I work with a door which is now completely broken because of me. all I could think was, yeah, I'm going to get fired from 2 of my jobs because I've just broken university property. Anyway, I slumped back down against the wall, sobbing into my hands. And bear in mind, this is probably around 2009, so smartphones don't exist, so I couldn't just Facebook message someone or WhatsApp someone. That literally didn't exist. I did, however, have my laptop in my bag, and it was at just that moment I remembered. So I whipped out my laptop and realised there's no plug on the wall, and my battery was low. Just everything that could go wrong did go wrong this evening. So I flip open my laptop and, using what was left of my fairly depleted battery, tweeted out, "Help, I'm stuck in the toilets at the university, can someone please tell security?" Luckily enough for me, my friend Sima picked up my message and she did actually phone the university and someone came and got me. It was mortifying meeting that security guard. His first question was, "Who are you?" To which I responded, "David G. Burns." And he said, "Do you have any ID?" And I responded with, "No, not really. I was just at work. I don't tend to take ID with me to my workplace." "Well, how am I meant to know who you are?" Well, I genuinely didn't have an answer to that question. I thought that maybe I was going to end up in some sort of university jail. They'd hold me there until someone who could verify my identity would turn up, or maybe even the police would turn up. And it did look like I was a burglar. I'd broken a door, and it looked like a failed robbery attempt. But strangely, the security guard just let me go. He said, "I suppose I'll just take down your name and I'll ask your boss in the morning." Which, to me, seems like really bad security. If I knew that if I was caught burgling somewhere, I just said I worked there and they'd come back to me in the morning and I could have just fled, I'd do that all the time. That was kind of it for the evening. The thing is, I did have to go back to work the next day. And when I walked into work the next day, my colleague was sat there and said, "David, did something happen last night?" I turned to her and I said, "Why? What do you know?" And it was at that moment 2 men walked round the corner holding a new door, and they just walked past me, and it was just so embarrassing. It was just so embarrassing. So that there is the story about how I got trapped in the toilet at my university. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I'll try and tell some more stories to you soon. Yeah, thanks. Speak to you later. Bye.